Hello, it's Lady Boulay, and welcome back to Black American Lineage. Thank you so much for the support you're giving this channel. I really appreciate it. And today, as we journey through our past, I want to talk about the actor, the singer, the entertainer that came before Sidney Poitier. His name is Paul Leroy Robeson. He was a bass baritone, concert artist, stage and film actor, professional football player, and activist who became famous for both his cultural accomplishments and for his political stances. In comparing him to Sidney Poitier, we can say that he was much more versatile, he was multi-talented, he was a singer, he was a football player, he was an actor of stage and screen. Paul Robeson was an extraordinary actor, every bit as good of an actor as Sidney Poitier. Sidney Poitier, as talented as he was sort of like a consolation prize that America threw at black people because they did not treat Paul Robeson fairly. Sidney Poitier was a good actor, but he was no Paul Robeson. Paul Robeson was born April 9, 1898 in Princeton, New Jersey. After graduating from high school in 1915, he won an academic scholarship to Rutgers College in New Brunswick, New Jersey, where he was the only African American student. He was twice named a consensus All-American in football and was elected class valedictorian. He earned his law degree from Columbia Law School while he was playing in the National Football League, the NFL. After graduation, he became a figure in the Harlem Renaissance. The Harlem Renaissance is called a Black Cultural Revolution. It was a cultural explosion of black creativity in the 1920s, and it was centered in Harlem, New York. It was a place to showcase black music, art, literature, theater, politics, dance, and fashion. He launched his career by performing in plays written by the playwright Eugene O'Neill, beginning with Emperor Jones. Emperor Jones tells the story of Brutus Jones, who is a resourceful African-American man, a former Pullman porter, but who kills another black man in a dice game. He's put in jail and put to work on a steamer. He jumps overboard and swims his way into some type of jungle and works his way through the jungle to a small Caribbean island where he sets himself up as the emperor. This might be something you want to check out. It's very interesting how he made his way through the jungle to that island. So it's really worth checking out. He also starred in the Eugene O'Neill play All of God's Children's Got Wings. And you know that's a song that we sang from the spirituals way back in the day. When I get to heaven, I'm going to put on the wings and shout all over God's heaven. Well, this was a play about him being in an interracial marriage with an abusive white woman. He's a lawyer in this play with this white woman who resents his skin color and ruins his law career. So there's nothing new under the sun. This is another case of a black man with jungle fever marrying a white woman who ends up ruining him. This was a play, so I don't think it's on video, but what I'm going to do is put a link to some of Paul Robeson's songs in the description box. I think you will enjoy listening to him. He was a beautiful singer. Emperor Jones, the play, caused a sensation in New York in 1924 and London in 1925. He also starred in the film version in 1933. In addition to his other talents, Robeson had a superb bass baritone singing voice. In 1925, he gave his first vocal recital of African American spirituals in Greenwich Village, New York. and he became world famous as Joe in the musical play Showboat, with his version of Old Man River, which is really still astounding. I love that song. His characterization of the title role in Othello in London in 1930 won high praise, as did the Broadway production in 1943, which set an all-time record run for a Shakespearean play on Broadway. Now this is Paul Robeson playing Othello, which was the black Moor married to the Italian woman. That set the record in 1943. So this whole thing about black men with white women has always been a thing. It's very popular, but at the same time, it's taboo. So when Sidney Poitier comes up with Guess Who's Coming to Dinner in 1967, which is 24 years later, it's much more watered down than what Paul Robeson would do. It's like they took all of the passion out of the acting and everything has to be implied. Paul Robeson was the it actor, the male actor of the day. And this is the 1920s, 30s, and 40s. I'm saying the it actor instead of the it black male actor because I believe he was better than all of them. He was definitely as good, and I believe he was better. And he was more all around. He could do it all. He could sing and act. And I'm pretty sure he would have done a good job dancing if the moment had called for that. So what happens is that the black man will reach such a height of success that they find a reason and a way to ruin him, and then the next black man will come up and they'll build him up really big, but he will be nothing compared to the one that came before him. This is what happened with Paul Robeson. The Hollywood people would have you think that Sidney Poitier was the first and the best. Sidney Poitier was good, and he was kind of a replacement for Paul Robeson, who died in 1976. So he was still around when Sidney Poitier came on the scene. It would have been nice to see them on stage together, to sort of pass the torch, for him to pass the torch on to Sidney Poitier. It would have been nice for our generation, my generation, to see him in action, to sing, to see him on variety shows and things like that. But he fell out of favor with America, which is really unfortunate. Here it comes, here it comes. Increasingly, political awareness impelled Robeson to visit the Soviet Union in 1934, and from that year, he became increasingly identified with strong left-wing commitments while continuing his success in concerts, recordings, and theater. In 1950, the United States State Department withdrew his passport because he refused to sign an affidavit disclaiming membership in the Communist Party. In the following years, he was virtually ostracized for his political views, although in 1958, the Supreme Court overturned the affidavit ruling. Robeson then left the United States to live in Europe and travel in countries of the Soviet bloc. But he returned to the United States in 1963 because of ill health. So he became politically active, and in 1934, you couldn't say anything about racism in the United States, but he was compelled to say something. Unlike these celebrities today, they got their mouths clamped, but he spoke out against the system of oppression in America, and he paid a price for it. Nevertheless, he had a very successful career. He starred in 15 movies. He recorded 6 albums and he appeared in numerous plays. Between 1925 and 1961, he recorded and released 276 songs. His recorded music spanned many styles, including Americana, popular standards, classical music, European folk songs, political songs, poetry, and spoken excerpts from plays. So, just a truly gifted man. This is Paul Robeson with his wife Essie. They were married for 44 years and had 1 son. She stayed with him throughout the turmoil because he had a lot of problems with the U.S. because he was speaking out and he was going to the Soviet Union. And back in those days, the way that you brought a black man down if he spoke out was you called him a communist. They did that with Dr. Martin Luther King, and I think they did that with Malcolm X as well. But that was the way of legally doing things to them, raiding their homes or spying on them and writing lies about them in the media to turn the public against them. Just doing whatever they wanted to do because they didn't approve of a black man exercising his right as an American citizen to travel to Russia or anywhere else he wanted to go. But Paul Robeson had a social conscience as well as being an outstanding entertainer, and he stood up as his own man. On May 18th of 1952, he showed the American government how resilient he could be. Because of his political activism, he had been banned from performing in the United States. So he decided he would perform on the side of the Canadian border. It's estimated that there were as many as 45,000 people at that concert. So it was a great success. So he was still supported by the public in spite of what was going on between him and the government. So that goes to show that people will not let anything stand between them and a good time. It takes courage to stand on your principles. You lose friends, sometimes you lose money, you lose influence. You can lose it all, but you still have the peace of knowing that you did what was right for you. And I believe that Paul Robeson lived and died with that peace. He's receiving recognition in death that he didn't receive in life. I think he has even received a Grammy Award. I think the year was 1978 or something like that. But he didn't ever receive any of those Hollywood awards. But he was an outstanding actor, an outstanding ancestor, somebody for us to be proud of. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video. Okay, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and have a good evening and have a good day.